The United States is currently in an uproar. The US has raised its counterintelligence alert to the highest level, not against China or Russia, but against Israel. Let's take a closer look at this today. Let's get right into it. First, let's see what's going on. NBC reports that the US Department of Defense and Defense Intelligence Agency have raised Israel's counterintelligence threat level to critical, the highest stage. This measure came amid rising tensions between the United States and Israel over the Lebanon issue. According to a report by NBC in the US, Israel has been stepping up its intelligence gathering activities against the United States through the Trump administration's internal discussions and policy-making processes related to the Middle East conflict. The US Defense Intelligence Agency, in a 7-page assessment report, rated Israel's HUMINT, that is, the method of obtaining necessary information through people, and its technical intelligence gathering capabilities both at the highest level. The report also highlights specific cases that have raised concerns in the United States. In response, Israel stated that the claim that it conducts espionage activities against the United States is completely untrue, and that Israel does not collect information on US agencies or US government officials. In fact, conducting intelligence activities against allied countries is quite common. All countries around the world carry out intelligence activities against both allies and adversaries. It's just that the focus is usually greater on adversaries. However, Israel's recent actions are being evaluated as going beyond what is generally expected. With the United States issuing its highest alert, expectations are rising for increased security during meetings between American and Israeli officials. Why is the US suddenly behaving like this, and why has Israel increased intelligence activities against it? Recently, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu argued during a phone call. Israel decided to expand its military operations against Lebanon, which has greatly shaken the ceasefire in the Middle East war. President Trump called Prime Minister Netanyahu and reportedly said, "Hey, you crazy bastard." He also said, "If not for me, you would have gone to prison. I've supported you, and don't you know everyone hates you now?" A source who heard the conversation between the two leaders said that President Trump was extremely angry and even used profanity. But after that, the United States raised the counterintelligence threat level against Israel to the highest stage. In fact, it seems that the US is trying to pressure Israel in any way possible to end this war more quickly. President Trump's planned ceasefire talks with Iran are now being disrupted by Israel and Hezbollah. Secretary General Naim Qassem of Hezbollah referred to a June 4th ceasefire requiring Hezbollah fighters to leave southern Lebanon. He said the agreement is a shameless act that means surrender, defeat, and achieving the enemy's goals, and that they have never promised anyone to stop resisting while the Israeli military continues to occupy Lebanon. On the other hand, Israel also stated that its military will not withdraw from southern Lebanon, and that they will continue military operations, remain stationed there, and maintain a buffer zone. Israeli forces and Hezbollah are currently exchanging rockets and bombardments, continuing their clashes. Due to this, the United States is increasing pressure on Israel, and CNN recently released a shocking report. Israel's intelligence operations against Iran were far larger than anticipated. CNN, citing multiple sources familiar with the matter, reported that Israel secretly deployed military and intelligence units to southern Azerbaijan, which borders northern Iran. These forces reportedly included Mossad agents and special operations units conducting intelligence gathering and drone operations on site. Israel established a forward base to continually monitor northern Iran. Some forces reportedly advanced to an area just 96 kilometers away from Tabriz, one of Iran's key cities. What is even more noteworthy is the timing. According to reports, Israel had already been preparing secret operations inside Azerbaijan since mid-January of this year, well before the war with Iran began in earnest. At the time, intelligence gathering and wiretapping equipment were installed at the site, reportedly creating a system to monitor movements inside Iran in real time. Israel reportedly kept expanding its intelligence network independently, even after the US managed airstrike and intelligence plans against Iran. However, the Azerbaijani government has fully denied these claims. They stated that the claim their territory was used for military operations against a third country is not true. However, this is not the first time there have been reports that Israel has operated secret bases throughout the Middle East and surrounding regions. Similar suspicions have already been raised in Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Somaliland. In fact, Israel is believed to have built an extensive intelligence network surrounding Iran. Israel reportedly has intelligence bases and military facilities in multiple countries bordering Iran and has used them for operations against Iran. From the US view, these actions are highly sensitive. The Trump administration is seeking to reduce conflict through peace talks with Iran. On the other hand, Israel maintains the capability to carry out additional military operations at any time based on its own independent intelligence network and military bases. Analysis suggests these strategic differences explain the recent rise in US vigilance toward Israel. There are concerns Israel could escalate military actions without enough US consultation. Meanwhile, the Trump administration seeks to reduce Middle East tensions by pursuing talks with Iran to end the conflict. On the other hand, Israel maintains the position that Iran's nuclear capabilities and pro-Iranian armed groups must be completely eliminated. This means that the goals of the two sides are not fully aligned. If Israel launches more airstrikes on Iran's nuclear sites or escalates large-scale military operations in Lebanon, the situation could quickly worsen. Iran has repeatedly stated it views the United States and Israel as one force. Therefore, if Israel carries out an attack, Iran may consider the United States as a directly responsible party. Major U.S. military bases are spread across the Middle East. Bahrain hosts the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters, while Qatar has the Al Udeid Air Base, a crucial hub for U.S. operations. U.S. troops and bases are also in Kuwait, Iraq, and Syria. These bases are considered to be the primary targets that could be attacked first in the event of a conflict. In fact, they have actually been attacked. In particular, Iran not only carries out direct attacks, but also possesses asymmetric attack capabilities by utilizing pro-Iranian armed groups. Hezbollah in Lebanon, pro-Iranian militias in Iraq, and Houthi forces in Yemen have previously launched missile and drone attacks against the US and its allies. If the conflict between Israel and Iran escalates, there is a possibility that these groups could become fully involved. This is exactly what the United States is concerned about. The Trump administration is trying to end the war and stabilize the situation in the Middle East through negotiations, but if Israel continues to act independently, the United States could find itself in a position where it has no choice but to take unwanted military action. Recently, there has been analysis that the reason the United States raised its counterintelligence threat level regarding Israel to the highest level is rooted in this distrust and wariness. What makes this incident shocking is that the country the United States is wary of isn't China or Russia. The very fact that the United States has issued the highest level of counterintelligence alert against Israel, which it has considered one of its most important strategic allies for decades, is quite significant. Generally, US intelligence agencies classify rival or hostile countries like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea as their main surveillance targets. Israel, which has long worked closely with the United States in military, diplomatic, and intelligence areas, is now a target. Currently, the United States and Israel are still officially maintaining a very strong alliance. The United States gives significant annual military aid to Israel and strongly backs it internationally. Recently, the two countries' perspectives have diverged over the Middle East war. The Trump administration is working on peace talks with Iran and aims to ease regional tensions. On the other hand, Israel maintains the view that pressure must continue unless Iran's military threat is completely eliminated. This difference in perspective is also evident in the Lebanon issue. The United States seeks a ceasefire and negotiations to stabilize the front lines, but Israel insists on continuing military operations against Hezbollah. Because the two sides do not have exactly the same goals, there is also a growing sense within the United States of close scrutiny over what Israel will do next. Some analysts say that the recent upgrade of the counterintelligence alert level is an example of this distrust appearing in an official form. This doesn't mean the United States has labeled Israel as hostile, but it does suggest that at least regarding information security and policy making, unconditional trust is no longer assured. If the Middle East situation worsens or Israel steps up unilateral military action, the relationship between the two countries may face more challenges. What Washington is paying attention to right now is not whether Israel is an ally or not, but whether Israel will move in the same direction as the United States strategy in the future. And this incident shows that the subtle tension that existed between the United States and Israel is no longer being hidden.